This is the Ruckus and The Menace Sports Podcast.
Oh no! We suck again!
I'm getting confused. What game are you calling?
I'm calling both games!
It is caught by Kelsey! Touchdown! Kansas City!
I need 3 of those things, baby! We ain't done yet! We ain't done yet! You like that? You like that? I like that!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode number 123 of the Ruckus and The Menace Sports Podcast. I am Ruckus, always, never not causing a ruckus.
And I'm Pennies the Menace.
And Halloween was literally 3 weeks ago, Spennis.
Did we not realize that I was doing Count Von Count?
Too spooky for me.
Shut up.
Anyways, what isn't spooky is our good, bad, the uglies this week, the high heat, our color commentary, and then we have our film room and our sudden dud of the week. Spennis, do you want me to roll that tumbleweed footage?
I am more just trying to somehow comprehend how a Sesame Street Muppet is considered too spooky.
Oh, I was just putting it in the theme of Halloween. Dude, the Count does not scare me at all. He just kind of exists.
Yeah, let's just roll the tumbleweed because this is already baffling me enough.
Alright, 1, 2, 3. Alright, Mr. Spennis, what is good this week in sports?
The fact that we can't count no more. But I'm just kidding here. It's the Baseball Hall of Fame ballot inductions have been announced. And some of it is actually pretty good when you really break down who the newcomers and returnees are. Notable newcomers include King Felix Hernandez, Petey Dustin Pedroia, Ichiro, CC Sabathia, Ben Zobrist, the Grandy Man, Curtis Granderson, and Hanley Ramirez. And then some of the notable returnees include Mark Burley, Carlos Beltran, Andrew Jones, Manny Ramirez, A-Rod, K-Rod, Jimmy Rollins, Omar Vizquel, and Billy Wagner. Are there any preliminary predictions of who you think may make it?
I think for sure
or
Ichiro
probably has the best chance to get the required amounts of votes.
Does only one person get out each year, or is it like 1 or 2 or 3?
You usually get a few.
Okay.
It just depends on how many. It just depends on how many actually meet the criteria landing.
Yeah. Personally, I think Ichiro gets it, and CC Sabathia, and maybe an older head. But in all honesty, do you think Carlos Beltran even gets into the Hall of Fame after how he left it? How he left the major leagues?
Well,
could you say the same thing about Hanley Ramirez? Even though Hanley Ramirez didn't cheat, he just had drug issues near the end with steroids.
But here are some of the players who I think will get in from the newcomers. I think King Felix will be in contention, but maybe just a little bit short. Ichiro will get in, no doubt. I think CC will be very, very close. I'm curious on what Pedroia's numbers are going to look like, especially for the type of player that Pedroia was for a long-term stint of his career.
Yeah, before he hit, what was it, like legs, like a leg injury
It was at least I think lower body related injuries that ultimately took him out. But he's a multi-time champ. And then some of the returners that I think should have very interesting looks. Billy Wagner. I would hope that the drug portion of his career does not affect Manny Ramirez as much.
I think Manny Ramirez has a better way of getting in compared to like Hanley Ramirez or Troy Tulowitzki, because you could argue Troy Tulowitzki was like a iconic shortstop that
Injuries. I think
but
injuries got to him.
but like Manny Ramirez, I think he is like a icon to the sport. Even though near the end he had his PEDs, steroids and stuff, especially when he got caught like twice in a row when he was with the Dodgers with steroids. I think his icon, to me, Manny Ramirez reminded me of Captain Jack Sparrow with the dreads and whatnot.
I will say I will never forget when he was in Boston, where he was at Camden Yards, caught a ball, climbed up the wall, high-fived a fan, and then threw a runner out at first for a double play. And of course, the Manny being Manny things in Boston. But Manny Ramirez was also a part of the Reverse the Curse Sox.
Yep.
But I think guys like Mark Burley, I think Burley probably gets very, very close here. I'd say for the returnees, my top 4 favorites to at least have a shot at it are Burley, Billy Wagner, Manny Ramirez, and Andrew Jones. While for the newcomers, the top 3 or 4 that I would throw in, Ichiro, CC Sabathia, Felix Hernandez, and quite possibly Dustin Pedroia.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's move on to the not so good of this week.
All right. So for the bad in this, for this week, we have Danny Dimes, Daniel Jones, as he gets benched as a third string QB in favor of Tommy DeVito. I guess the Gapagool got to the Giants and the Bull.
Oh no, you would think that if he was going from QB1 to QB2, Danny Dimes turned into Danny Nichols. No, he has become as worthless as Danny Pennies.
Oh,
he
I
is Danny Pennies.
I was about to make a divorced dad band joke with Nichols because Nickelback, but here we go.
No. You can keep the trash Nickelback jokes aside. Although the band is severely overhate, like some of the stuff is overhated for them, but you could see why they get hate because they are severely, during their time, especially in the 2000s, they were severely overplayed. And that was why people hated them. Because they were always on the mainstream signal or with a single. But yes, I was going the downgraded to Danny Pennies from Danny Dimes.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Giants just want their quarterback.
Isn't it kind of ironic? Aren't pennies worth more, though, when it comes to making them? Like, aren't they almost as much as a dime? I don't know.
There's got to be something along those lines, but it's I think a dime might be closer to silver. I know a penny is made of copper.
As of January 2024, it costs $2.72 to make a penny, and then to make a dime, around what? Currently, the cost to make a dime is currently around 5 cents.
That's because it's a clad metal composed of outer layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel alloy bonded to a pure copper core. While I think pennies are still made out of, they're copper and zinc now. and it was yeah. So yeah, I think it. Yeah, even though a penny is definitely a more expensive coin to make, it's worth less than a dime.
All
What?
right.
Oh, the weirdness of the United States Mint.
Yep. But what isn't mint is this. Netflix's coverage of Paul versus Tyson. This is the ugly, by the way, for people listening. Netflix's coverage of Paul versus Mike Tyson breaks servers as up to 60 million people, quote unquote, watched the event. Side effects may include disappointment, buffering, anger, diarrhea, anxiety, wondering if the Wi Fi is dead, and it's gone. But in all seriousness, this could be bad for Netflix as they have been making some bold moves with live streamed events like they had with the roast of Tom Brady earlier this year around the summertime. And then there was probably some other live events they did for like comedy and whatnot. But this boxing matchup was stupidly overhyped, but it was enough to where that many people were watching, and there were times where I was wondering if my internet was just bad, but I don't know, man. I just hope Netflix gets it together. They probably will, but I just hope that it's better than what this fight was, because the fight was all right, but I had to rewatch it the next day because of just the buffering and the site just saying, "Hey, bro, like our shit's down," and then I'm like, "All right, cool, great," but yeah. Anyways, what are your thoughts, Pennis?
Okay, so first of all, this fight looked like the Tiger King and the Liver King only ate Burger King that looked like Martin Luther King that beat up by Rodney King as promoted by Don King. Um, in short, this thing was not very good. It is an embarrassment to boxing as a whole. Okay, Jake Paul, I get that you're a talented boxer, but why are you going up against somebody who is nearly 30 years older than you and comparatively is a washed up has been? Sorry, Mike Tyson. Or I should say, sorry, Mike Tyson.
Well, you know what Mike Tyson really loves, according to one of Tom Segura's comedy specials that is on Netflix, was, "Man, I love Netflix."
But where we're going with this here is that this fight should have never have even been permitted. And
Well,
all it is just a marketing ploy because, yeah, Jake Paul got a larger purse out of it than Mike Tyson did. And Jake Paul got to live out his punch-out dream of facing Mike Tyson. But he faced Mike Tyson when Punch-Out was in a long-lost era. I think if Jake Paul had faced prime Mike Tyson, he would have been torched.
yeah, that or his ear would have been
I'd give
bitten
him
off.
11 minutes. And that's just the time it would take for him to get to the ring, step in with Mike Tyson, get hit really hard in the face about 2 minutes in and get knocked out. That's
Man,
all the time it would take. I'd give it 11 minutes.
dude, did you see the intro or the walk on music for whenever they got announced?
I didn't even bother watching that fight.
So
because
okay,
that was just
okay. So like I said when I rewatched it because I wanted to like get the full view of it rather than just what everyone else experienced in the moment. The walkout for Jake Paul and Logan Paul was them chilling in a hydraulic infused like Cadillac or not. I don't even think it was a Cadillac, but it's one of those ones that you would see in Grand Theft Auto where you could move the hydraulics up and down, but they were riding in that. And then Mike Tyson's walk-in was literally just him with some rap music, and he looked like he just like crawled out of like a hobo den, and just was like, "All right, I'm gonna go fight. Let's do this." And I'm just like, what the hell? But anyways, I saw a article today on a news site that was talking about how Netflix realized that this was an issue or whatever, and they're going to learn from it. But also, they still thought it was a success because 60 million people were on their platform at one point.
Yeah.
Especially when
Even
the
with
rumor. Go ahead.
you caught the Kill Tony reference I was going for there right at the beginning, where he was talking about Burt Kreischer's a king, right?
Yeah.
And but then I just added on to the end of it. That was all I did.
Yeah, you're fine.
The as promoted by Don King.
Yep. So without further ado, do you want to go to the high heat or what are we
Yeah,
thinking?
let's get on to the high heat, and we will have 3 games from this week to kind of talk about here. I did not come up with any questions for this. I just threw them in.
Yeah,
But
I
the
mean,
first
go ahead.
But the first one that we are going to talk about here is the Green Bay Packers and Chicago Bears. As the Packers win on a blocked field goal in the final seconds, 20-19 over the Bears. I am going to be quite refreshingly honest here in saying that although the Bears are toast, I think that their real issues center around none other than Matt Eberflus.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Even though last week I was pretty much telling you, even though you went on a big cahoot, well, really it was like 15 to 20 minutes about how the Bears were like on the down spurt, and then literally like a minute afterwards, I was like, okay, I'm gonna pick the Bears to beat the Packers, and you're just like, or you're just like, and I'm just like, yeah, why not? F it. Like, it's only 1 point in our film room. But I would have probably had you eat those words if the Bears didn't get their field goal blocked. Either way, it was a very close game.
Yeah. But then I also will throw this on top of it. The Bears also did fire their offensive coordinator. Ironically enough, this is the 3rd time I have called for or have foreseen a coach firing this season. This is starting to scare me as to how I have called this generally on this podcast, but I think this is the 2nd time that it has happened within 24 hours of me going ham. I'm starting to scare myself.
Honestly, if it means that people are listening to our podcast, that's probably a somewhat good thing. But at the same time, I think the inside information in the higher ups of the offices over in Chicago, they probably saw that coming, and they probably were like, "Okay, Eberflus, give us one reason why, or give us a few reasons why we shouldn't fire you right here, right now." And then he was just like, "All right, Shane Waldron, he's the problem. Okay, we'll get him sleeping with the fishes in no time, Mister Eberflus."
Yeah, but I think the real issue is Matt Eberflus. If you really break it down.
Yeah.
The second game we're going to be talking about here is the Baltimore Ravens and Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers taking the victory 18-16 as the Ravens fall short on the game-tying 2-point conversion attempt. What are we thinking on this one?
It's a rivalry game for sure, especially since they're in the same division. I think the defense was definitely stronger for the Steelers than it was the Ravens, and that's pretty much what it's been like in ever since with the Steelers. Because they're, in my opinion, I feel like the Steelers defense is just known for being lights out as long as everyone is healthy for them, and then their offense comes after that, kind of. But you don't have a
I
Canadian
believe
playing or calling the offense.
I believe that the defenses in this game were paramount to how the game was supposed to form itself. The offenses were fine. Pittsburgh was able to drive the ball of the field, but Chris Boswell was doing a great job kicking field goals. Boswell's been one of the best kickers of in the league this season. And then on top of that, you've had the Ravens who have been able to make offensive plays. Derrick Henry got a touchdown. But beyond that, I mean, Pittsburgh has done a great job of keeping him in check. And the AFC North is generally a defensive. These games are low scoring. They're tight. They're close. The defenses are going to show why they're paramount. And this game here at Acrisure Stadium did exactly that. I think the right team ultimately did win this game, especially at home. And it puts Pittsburgh in the complete driver's seat in the AFC North, which I'm going to say this, neither of us thought this would be the case 12 weeks ago.
Yeah, I don't have any more to add to that, so let's get to the next one.
And then the last game we're going to be talking about here is the Buffalo Bills snapping a winning streak of the Chiefs 30-21 at home. And it was the Josh Allen show.
I mean, yeah, for the most part. There were some moments with the Chiefs too, but yes, it was mainly Josh Allen. I will admit that, but part of me feels like it would have been a little bit closer if a few things, like the mistakes were away, like the Xavier Worthy catch that turned out to be an incomplete pass. He didn't get both feet in bounds before going out of bounds. Like that could have been an easy red zone touchdown or just a touchdown in general. But yeah, that happened. And then there are some other things too that we could have cleaned up on offense, but also no one really got to Josh Allen when it came to our defense. Like Chris Jones tripped up on himself whenever Josh Allen ran off on him, and then there are a few other plays where the corners were getting into trouble and whatnot. So that and some holding calls, but yeah, you had to play with very little mistakes against either of these two teams. And really, the one that won it in the end was the Bills because they didn't play with as many mistakes as the Chiefs did. Even though they messed up a Tyler Bass extra point in the beginning.
Yeah. But I will say this. I think that the Chiefs losing this game was kind of something that may very well have been what should have happened.
Yeah, I think it's a big wake-up call for the Chiefs, for sure.
Because they have not been playing the prettiest football all year long. And
I think it also helps that that we got humbled here too because the defense wasn't playing as good as they were these past other 9 games that we had won. Like they did, the offensive line for the Bills was definitely a lot better than the offensive line for the Chiefs. Our identity right now on the offensive line is not 100% like it was last season, and last season was kind of a stretch because Donovan Smith wasn't like the most consistent left tackle, but he also had some health issues along that. But I don't know what the Chiefs do at left tackle if they move one of the guards, like one of the rookie guards, to a tackle, or if they go out and get Donovan Smith. I am really not sure about that. But what I do know is I think we'll bounce back against the Panthers. I hope we do because
Yeah,
one of the worst teams in the NFL.
oh yeah, I completely expect y'all to bounce back against Carolina because Carolina's bad. Carolina is that bad.
Yep, there's a little bit of a temper tantrum over there.
Yeah. But are there any other games that you think we definitely need to make some sort of take or discussion for? Because I think we've kind of got a good amount of free space because we have no color commentary this week.
I mean, there was I am side watching the Texans Cowboys game, and so far that's been a close knit game where both defenses have exposed the quarterbacks with the secondaries, and CD Lamb is looking good out there. But the Texans currently lead 7-0 over the Cowboys. CJ Stroud gave it to Joe Mixon for a red zone touchdown. Or not even a red zone touchdown because it was a 45-yard run for Mixon. So that one's been good. The only other few games I really looked at on the highlights on YouTube's or the NFL YouTube page. I what are your thoughts for the games? I'll run that over to you because
I will say that this is a game where the Detroit Lions just were able to run everything on all cylinders. Detroit looked dominant. Jared Goff and his completion percentages, effectiveness in running the football with Montgomery and Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown had a career day, and Doug Peterson needs to go. That is just, you're getting embarrassed. And I think Detroit, not only do I have the thinking of that they are going to get to the Super Bowl, but I'm going to say right now, I think the Detroit Lions are the favorites to win the Super Bowl.
Yep. And sometimes I wonder if Ryan Reynolds owns the Detroit Lions because they definitely wrecked the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah. And then I think another one that I think definitely needs to be discussed, Seattle and San Francisco. As Geno Smith is showing some relevancy once again as he scrambled in for the winning touchdown against the San Francisco 49ers in the final seconds. And now the 49ers are more favored to miss the playoffs than make it. As now the 49ers are kind of stuck in a compromising position. Granted, this time the 49ers did play this matchup without George Kittle. I think another team we really need to look out at right now is the Denver Broncos. As Bo Nix is really starting to show that he's had it all together. and that the NFL has not become too big for him. And he's kind of grown into it. 307 yards, 4 touchdowns on 28 of 33 passing. Let's say it, Bo Nix is emerging very, very quickly right now into the Offensive Rookie of the Year picture. And we didn't even see this coming.
He's kind of like the unsung hero compared to how Stroud was last season, it seems. I don't know if we would go that strong, but
are we
it
now
reminds me of
talking
that.
that this is a are we now talking that this is becoming a Bo KO from out of nowhere? Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out!
Oh, BKO out of nowhere. That and also the Chargers have been kind of in that mix too.
That is another. I think the Chargers have shocked me a little bit too, no pun intended, because I knew Jim Harbaugh was going to improve them.
Well, they really charged me up.
Oh, they have done a great job of addition by subtraction. That has been the main thing that the Chargers have done. And right now, the teams that are kind of impressing me from out of nowhere are the Chargers, the Steelers, the Broncos, the Falcons, although they didn't have great performance in yesterday's game. I mean, the Vikings are now 8-2. The Lions, of course, are the best team in the league. The Packers are showing that they're competitive. The Commanders have gotten competitive. So there's a lot of wide open space. A lot of wide open space for some playoff spots. And I think we've got a fun backstretch of the season coming up.
Yep, and the Chiefs still the 1 seed, and then it's and this is for the AFC currently. So Chiefs are at number 1, Bills number 2, Steelers number 3, Texans number 4, Chargers number 5, Ravens number 6, Broncos 7, Colts 8, Dolphins 9, Bengals are 10. And then for the NFC, you got the Lions, Eagles, Cardinals, Falcons, Vikings, Packers, Commanders, Rams, Seahawks, and 49ers in the top 10.
We are the last team in, but I'm going to say it here in just a few short days. We want Dallas. We may have lost 2 in a row, but I still am going to say we want Dallas.
Well, it might take a miracle, but maybe another metal beam will hit the field again.
It's at Northwest Stadium this time around.
Oh, darn.
We don't go to Jerry World until the end of the season.
Well, we still got time.
Yeah, about another month or so. But
right,
we are going to move on to a quick segment of the film room, as we do not have as many points this week up for grabs. But our big one will be in college football this week, as we have a 5-pointer between top 10 opponents in the Indiana Hoosiers and the Ohio State Buckeyes. And I believe we both have said OH.
And I think you're kind of triggering the Ohio State University Alma Maters and graduates, as it is the Ohio State University. Also, I picked the Ohio State University.
You left me hanging on that. I said OH.
IO.
Yeah, that's where I was going. Oh my gosh, I got left hanging on an OHIO. Granted that, yeah, I've left you on the Boomer Sooner as well, but that's been beside the point.
I didn't leave a grudge on that. I just didn't catch where you're going.
Yeah, I just was like, bruh. I'm like, bruh. I said I was saying that we both went OH. IO, Ohio State.
Well, if it was a game of horse where you instead of using the word horse you put Ohio, that might have been a different story.
All right, and the next one is Notre Dame versus West Point Army.
I'm gonna pick the Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
I'm taking the Golden Domers, Notre Dame. But I have gotten a look at what the Army uniforms are going to look like because I think I saw some sort of preview that I think ESPN had on it. The Army uniforms coming up here in about a month or so, about a few weeks or so for the Army Navy game. They look good. They're going to look really good. But after college football is up, we now will move on to the NFL. Our Notre Dame Army game was worth 2 points. The NFL for 1 point. Vikings Bears.
Bears.
Goal. 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 Skull. 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 I'm taking the Vikings here. 49ers Packers for 2 points.
Go Pack Go. Go Pack Go.
Go, Pack, go! I am taking the Packers as well. Cardinals Seahawks.
Squeak, 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 squeak. Cardinals. I don't know where else going with that.
Squeakity squeak squeaking.
You owe me a new acorn.
There we go. I was wondering how long it was going to take for that. I didn't sound like Patrick Warburton, but I at least was trying for something. I'm still taking the Cardinals over the Seahawks, even though it will be amongst the 12th man. The Eagles and Rams.
I'm picking them LA Rams. Stafford, you got Nakua, you got Cup, you got Kyron Williams. That's a 1-2 punch at SoFi.
I counted 3 weapons that you said there. You said a 1-2 punch. That's 3. There's 3 of them.
Well, luckily it's
but
episode 123, so you're in luck, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway.
But I am taking the Eagles. 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 As they will beat the Rams. They are on a tear right now. And for how well they played against the Commanders, I think Saquon is going to run all over them. But I don't expect him to do a backward hurdle again. And last but not least, the Harbowl. As it is, for 3 points, the Ravens and John Harbaugh versus the Chargers and Jim Harbaugh.
I feel bad for that field crew going
Which
between.
Harbaugh are you taking?
I'm taking John Harbaugh and the Baltimore Ravens. Nothing personal, Jim.
I think I am in agreement here in that I am taking John as well. Just not that the Chargers are not good. I think that the Ravens will run the ball much more effectively against that Chargers defense. And if they have to pass, they do. Lamar Jackson has improved in the passing game enough that he can make the valid passing decisions. I'm going to take John Harbaugh over Jim Harbaugh, even though Jim does have Justin Herbert.
So also, if you guys didn't notice this, but when I was looking at the NFL schedule for Week 12, I noticed that the Rams and Eagles play at SoFi the night before the Ravens and Chargers play at SoFi. So I kind of feel the field crew feel their pain, but also it just to me feels weird. Like usually when a team that's sharing another team's stadium, I guess it doesn't matter if it's like the day before or whatever, but I guess it would be more obvious if it was the same day where they couldn't use the same stadium, because I thought they were going to be playing at the Link, but regardless,
Yeah,
I think this is the
there
first
will
time I've
be.
seen that.
Yeah, it is a 24-hour turnaround, as the crew will have to work overnight to get that one put together. But the good news is that it's a primetime game versus a primetime game. And really, honestly, since both of those games are going to be on the West Coast, it's only going to be about 5 o'clock when the Eagles Rams game starts. So they can start kind of messing with the field and stuff probably right around, like, I'm going to say probably about 9 or 10 p.m. their time. So they're going to have all that time to get the field at least within ready. So it's going to be a quick turnaround for any sort of crew that is there for each of those two teams. And even just to have everything properly turned around between Rams and Chargers. So this is a fun one for you, Inglewood, to try and see how well your crews are able to make the quick turnaround. And on that note, we could move to the stud and dud of the week. And Ruckus, I am going to let you get started.
Right, just like any other week. All right. So my stud for this week is Alex Ovechkin as my stud, as he is closer to being Gretzky's 894 goals scored total in his career, with 866 goals total so far this season. Let's go,
And
Ovechkin.
here's the notable things with that. The first, this is 17 games in. You're 17 games in, and Ovechkin already has 13 goals. He is 29 goals shy of passing Gretzky's mark. 17 games in, and Ovechkin also had a hat trick yesterday. So I'm really going to say that this season so far has shown that Ovechkin has not really shown too many signs of slowing down. Although the leader, and Ovechkin is currently among the league leaders in goals, as two others are tied with him at 13. The other a Florida Panther in Sam Reinhart, and the other in Leon Draisaitl from Edmonton, with Mikko Rantanen and William Nylander also tied for 4th. So Ovechkin has been picking up his really been picking up his goals. And I think if he keeps up on this pace, I think he will probably catch Gretzky. I'm going to say maybe into the back stretch of this season if he stays on this pace.
And then, as far as my dud goes, I have Harrison Butker for going on IR Friday afternoon unexpectedly to get knee surgery. And he quoted, I think it was either Andy Reid or himself, he said he will be back for the home stretch of the season. So, like, probably playoff time more than likely for his knee surgery. He had to get it, like, trimmed up, his meniscus or something trimmed up. So we'll see how that goes. But anyways, Spennis, what are your studs, duds, and other goodies?
Yeah, so my stud this week goes to the Los Angeles Lakers for honoring Pat Riley with a statue outside of their stadium in the works. Why, notably, the Godfather, typically known also for his time as a member of the Miami Heat. Pat Riley was also the coach that made his real NBA coaching name, especially when it came to winning titles, with the Showtime era Lakers. So while, of course, the Lakers recognized players like Magic Johnson and Kobe Bryant, I think that them recognizing Pat Riley is a huge thing, although he has become Miami's godfather. The honorable mention I have is for ESPN for coming to an agreement to license Inside the NBA with TNT as well, bringing the Elevator Ernie Johnson, the Chuckster, the Big Aristotle, Shaq, and Kenny the Jet Smith onto the ESPN and ABC networks starting next season. But on the road, it will be the Turner team that will take them, or that will produce them. So we have really decided to just enjoy Inside the NBA.
I'm
And
hungry, Chuck. I'm hungry.
it is one of the, if you are watching the NBA on TNT, you had to have enjoyed Elevator Ernie Johnson coming on in 1990, Kenny Smith in 1998, Barkley in 2000, and then Shaq in 2011. But it has been one of the most enjoyable things to watch because they all have great chemistry together. And you can tell that the chemistry is very, very tangible. And you watch it and you are completely entertained by what they're coming out with. Who he play fors each and every beginning of the season, where they make fun of Charles Barkley for pretty much not staying tuned with the offseason. Shaqtin' a fool for basketball bloopers. And of course, all of the other hilarious moments and conversations that the four guys have. And they've even done stuff like the Chariots of Backfire foot race. They had one instance where they were checking out to see who the most athletic member of the Inside the NBA crew was, and Ernie Johnson beat him on the baseball swing. So they do some fun stuff over at Inside the NBA. And I'm looking forward to seeing how the fun gets translated over to the worldwide leader.
Yep. I think it'll be an interesting time. ESPN's doing a great job over there with their recruiting team. But what go ahead and do your done. Sorry, I was gonna.
And I'm sticking with ESPN on this one, as they had their analyst Harry Douglas try to take out the table Bills Mafia style, and epically failed. So what he did was he jumped off the ledge, landed on the table, his feet on the table, but he's distributed wrong. So he ends up falling backwards and landing kind of on like his head and neck area. No analysts were hurt in the making of that video, but it just looked horrible. Like, he looked so stiff getting into the table. I'm like, no, if you're gonna try and take out a table, why are you going in like a pencil? Macho Man elbow dropped the table.
But yeah, brother.
Sorry, that's my Macho Man.
No, you didn't do it right. Ooh, yeah.
And then if you want to do a
You were trying for
alternate
more.
character, if you
You
want
were
to do
trying to cross up. You were trying to blend in some Hulk Hogan in there.
well, that and also Bonesaw. I got you for 3 minutes. Bonesaw is ready. Okay, that's gonna mess up my throat. Let's not do that.
Why don't we actually take this show out before Ruckus before we end up both messing up our throats with crazy voices.
This in Ruckus episode number not Ruckus episode. Ruckus and the Menace episode number 123. I'm Ruckus, always causing a ruckus. I almost sound like Danny Trejo, to be honest, rather than Macho Man. You know who Danny Trejo is, right?
I know who you're talking about.
All right.
I know
Well,
who you're talking
anyways.
about. I just chose not to invest in it.
Oh,
This is the
yeah,
message.
this is Danny Trejo coming at signing you out for Ruckus and the Menace Sports Podcast. I am Ruckus, always causing a ruckus.
And I choose not to acknowledge that. and I'm Pennies the Menace.
Deuces.